Hi, this is Mike Champagne, and welcome to Storybreak. What's Storybreak, you might ask? Well, Storybreak is my idea for a new YouTube channel, and I formed it because we live in a pretty crazy world. Lots of stresses, lots of rapid changes and pressures that we never asked for. I know I didn't. I don't think you did either. And I thought, well, as a writer, over the years, I've accumulated a number of stories, and I'd like to share them with you and give you an opportunity to take a minute or two for yourself, to listen to a story and just relax before you get back out into the fray. I plan to release a new story every 2 or 3 weeks for your enjoyment and to give you that opportunity to take a story break. This first story is called The Resurrection of Stanley Lazar. This wasn't my doing. I was okay with dying. In fact, I was glad to die. It ain't like my life was some kind of success story. I got by, and that's about it. I didn't have no special gifts, and God knows I was no Tom Cruise. The man sat forlorn and fidgeting with tension in Father Ted Jaminski's study. Father Ted was aware that the man seemed somewhat desperate, so he decided to listen with caution. Mr. Hey, you. Mr. Hey, you. No. Hey, you. I don't have no name. No real one, not now. I used to be Stanley Lazar. Stan to my friends, but not no more. I can't use my name no more. My own name, and I can't use it. I don't follow you, Mr. You. I don't have no name because the state says I'm dead. Social Security says I'm deceased. I got no ID. My driver's license is kaput. The federal government don't recognize me as a person. You know what that means? I'm what you call a non-entity. I can't get a job. I got no income, no insurance. I can't even damn vote. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I don't see. This is your fault. You and your tribe. The priest sat up in his chair looking alarmed as the man rose from his chair and began to pace back and forth. My tribe? You guys did this with your gospels and your catechisms and your sermons on the mount. The whole organization from the Pope on down. This never would have happened if you'd left her alone. Left who alone, Mr. You? My sister, Margaret Lazar. Miss Lazar? She's your sister? I see her every day at early mass. Of course you do. She don't know when to stop. I mean, there I was, lying on my deathbed, knowing I'd pass and I'd never have to worry about nothing again. But that didn't cut it with Margaret. Oh, no. She made novenas. She lit candles. She led prayer vigils. She even went on a pilgrimage, for God's sake. She is a very devout woman, Mr. Lazar. She's crazy. She went and lobbied God on my behalf. I don't know what you're upset about, Mr. I don't know what you're upset about. I mean, here you are. You're alive. Your sister's devotion has saved you. You obviously recovered. She didn't save me. Well, she must have. You seem quite alive to me. Father Ted tried to lighten the man's intensity, but he didn't seem amused. She didn't save me, Father. I didn't recover. I died, and she resurrected me. What? Father Ted tried to maintain his composure, but he was eyeing the door. Now I got your attention, huh? Now you want to know. I'm sure. I was embalmed, Father. I was dead for 5 days, and they embalmed me. There I was, in the funeral parlor, lying in my coffin, happy. There were flowers. Holy cow, there were flowers, baskets of them. Friends were coming and going, and there was Margaret, telling her beads and rocking back and forth like a maniac. I heard this later from Milt Jaworski. We used to work together. So there's Margaret, rocking back and forth, praying to beat the band. And suddenly I start to hear all this noise. I hear the religious music in the background. I hear Margaret going on like a holy buzzsaw. I hear Lois Tattersall saying, "Don't he look natural?" She never liked me. I don't know what she was doing there. And I realize, why am I hearing anything? I'm dead. I'm not supposed to hear all this. But I keep my cool, you know? I don't move. I don't want to jump to conclusions. I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm already in the afterlife and this is some kind of transition or something. But then Jake Lapidus leans over me, crying like a baby, and he reaches in and he touches my face. Don't ask me why. Maybe he wanted to see how cold I was, but that freaked me out. I slapped his big, fat, sweaty hand away, and I opened my eyes. Well, that was it. We was off to the races. Margaret screams. Jake screams. Who knew he could scream like a girl? And the whole place comes to one of them moments when time stands still. You know what I mean? I sit up, but the coffin was on wasn't too steady, you know? And the whole thing falls over. So there I am, sprawled out on the floor. That's when I notice I ain't got no pants on. The cheapskate funeral guy didn't bother with that. I ask you, so there I am, back alive, sprawled out in a jacket and tie and with my BVDs waving in the wind and covered in more flowers than you want to know about. The whole place goes nuts. Women were screaming and fainting. Margaret picks up her beads and shouts, "It's a miracle!" And before you can say holy roller, everybody's on their knees praying like it's the end of the world. The priest sat for a moment, eyeing Stanley Lazar, trying to think of something to say that wouldn't escalate his agitation. Well, that certainly sounds like quite an event. What exactly brought you to me? You're my priest. Would be if I went to church. You said Margaret's here every day. Well, yes, Miss Lazar comes, but look, Father, I need $236,726. I rounded it off a little, and I need it by Thursday. $236,726. Less the change. I can take care of that much. I could take a check. I still don't understand. You done this, all of you, with your faith can move mountains, and then I am the resurrection and the life. And Mr. Lazar, those are the words of Christ. I don't mean no disrespect, Father. I'm sorry if it offends you. I ain't one of them. That ain't what I'm trying to do. I ain't one of them renegade Catholics trying to ride you guys out of town or nothing. I'm desperate here. That money is what I owe, and I ain't got no job to pay it. What the hell am I supposed to do? I don't understand. Father Ted looked at the man. This new tone of supplication was at least a little encouraging, but he was still weary. I know you think I'm some kind of wingnut. If I wasn't me, I'd be calling the guys with the fly nets to come and get me too. But Father, I'm telling you, it's true. Here, look, I brought proof. Stanley Lazar reached into his pocket and pulled out a wad of tightly folded papers and threw them on Father Ted's desk. He reached over and he unfolded one. See? This here's my death certificate. Renal failure brought on by congestive heart disease. Oh, and this one's a funeral home bill. The bill, Father, $27,000. If I'd known it cost that much to die, I never would have done it. And he sends me the damn bill. I didn't even get buried yet, I ask you. Here's the hospital bill. Now that's real interesting. They didn't do nothing for me. I was in there for maybe 2 hours before I croaked. How in the hell do you rack up $200,000 in expenses in 2 damn hours? The Social Security sends me $250 for death expenses. $250. You can't bury a cat for that. And then they send me a letter telling me I'm dead, and no, I ain't got no Social Security benefits to fall back on when I get old. Now that ain't fair. I know I ain't the right age to get checks yet, but you don't get much older than dead. I had to get something. Once I got over the whole resurrection bit, I went down to the Union Hall. I'm a welder, you see, to pick up some work. The guy there tells me I don't belong to the union no more on account of being dead. I ain't dead, I told him. But he says, you got to take that up with membership. We got you as dead, so you're dead. Yesterday, my landlord sold all my stuff and rented out my apartment when I went out for breakfast. He says he can't have a dead man living in the building no more. It ain't good for the other tenants. So I got no place to go. I suppose I could go to the gravesite, but I can't stay there. And I ain't living with Margaret. She started all this. I figure if I can pay those bills, maybe I can square it with everybody and be alive again. So, if you don't mind, I'd like $236,726. The priest pawed through the small pile of documents, mulling over the man's story. It was becoming clear that he wasn't really dangerous. Well, this is the death certificate, the Social Security letter. What did you do with the $250? I got maybe 65 left. I had to stay somewhere last night, and food don't come cheap even when you're dead. What am I going to do, Father? I had to come to you on account. You're the last resort. What about your sister? I tried her. I went to her first. I rang the bell, and as soon as she opens the door, she falls to her knees and starts praying at me. I couldn't cut through the Hail Marys and Glory be to Gods to talk to her. It was like some kind of prayer avalanche. I don't know where else to go. If this can be verified, ask anybody who was there. It ain't something you forget, you know? The priest looked up at the desperate man. He was quite sincere, and he couldn't help feeling sorry for him. This is a very deep, very significant sign, Mr. Lazar. This could be one of the biggest events in the history of the church, of all Christendom. Okay, but what about the money, Father? Have you tried your friends, the ones who came to the funeral? Are you kidding me? I knocked on doors, a lot of doors, Father. And what happens? They cross themselves and start praying and crying. It's worse than Margaret. But no offer of help? Come on, Father. Who wants a dead freeloader? Well, I don't have the authority to hand out that kind of money, even if I had it. I'd have to take this up with the bishop, perhaps even Rome. How long does that take? I don't know. Outside of the Bible, I don't think anything like this has ever happened. It'll require a commission, scientists, experts to conduct a full investigation. Well, what the hell am I supposed to do, Father? How do I go on being dead without no money to live on? I see. It was clear to Father Ted that something was going on. The documents on his desk seemed to verify Stanley Lazar's story. He decided that he should undertake a deeper look into the matter, but what about now? You said you were a welder? Yeah, when I was alive, yeah. Any experience with the other trades? Well, with some carpentry, a little plumbing, some electric, but I ain't licensed. Why? Well, maybe I can help somewhat, if you're agreeable, that is. I'm dead, Father. I ain't in no position to turn down nothing. St. Barnabas needs a handyman. It would involve cleaning and some repair. Is that for pay, Father? Oh, yes. It's not a fortune, but considering that you're dead, you should be able to live on it. And I can arrange a room for you in the basement. What about all them bills I got? It's a lot of money, Father. Well, then, here. The priest wrote across two of the documents. This is your hospital bill and the funeral bill. Stanley Lazar looked at the two documents and blinked for a moment, absorbing what was meant by the priest's scribble. Deceased? So I just forget him? All those bills? Well, I'm not a lawyer, Mr. Lazar, but how can you pay someone if you're dead? Won't they come after me? I don't see how. You send those back to them with a copy of the death certificate, and we'll see what happens. We have a couple of lawyers in the parish who might consider taking up your case for amusement, if for nothing else. I, on the other hand, need to verify a few things before I contact the bishop, maybe a cardinal or two, if not the Holy Father in Rome. Stanley Lazar thought about this for a moment, but he felt he had to say something to the priest in all honesty. You know, Father, I ain't going to be some apostle or nothing like that. Let's just take it one step at a time, shall we? You've come this far. Welcome back to the church, Mr. Lazar. The end. I hope you enjoyed the resurrection of Stanley Lazar. In a couple of weeks, I will release a new story, and this next one is going to be a story about a little dog named Trouble. In the meantime, I hope you'll press like, and I hope you'll subscribe so that you'll know when the next story is ready. I'm preparing it now. In the meantime, I hope you had a good time. I hope you got a chance to relax. Stay well, do good, and I hope to see you next time.